Now, if you follow the news closely, more than 52 million people headed to the polls lately in the country of Thailand. And given the fact that this country just quickly finished another major election. Now, one thing we have to understand, this election rather have a major political and also economic impact on the country. And given the fact today, younger generations, as we mentioned before, are generating much greater noises, not just the countries in China and the US, and particularly in the country of Thailand. As we're speaking right now, the election results are still yet to be found, but right now, the leader within the Move Forward party is projected to be the next leader for the country. Now, what about the future for Thailand? And also, how about the younger generations? Are they going to be satisfied with the newly elected leader, presumably? And also, what about this current economic situation in Thailand today? So that's why today we're going to put all the questions together for our distinguished speaker, which is Uday. Again, if you follow our show, you should be familiar with Uday. He appeared on our show numerous times regarding the ongoing geopolitical change, not just in Thailand, but also around the world. Well, Uday, and welcome back to The Missing Piece.
Thanks for having me here, Will. It's great to be back here.
Well, Uday, again, I want to get started with a very simple question. As we mentioned before, this recent election in Thailand mattered to a lot of people, especially to the younger generations. As we're speaking right now, the leader from this, what we called Move Forward party, is projected to be the leader, and also he actually represented the majority of the youth within the nation. Can you help us why this election is so important, and how should we understand with this presumably leader who is going to be the next leader for the country? What do you say to that?
Yeah. So, Will, why this election is so important for Thailand? It's, as you said before, Thailand is at a crossroads. This is a transformation, what the results have shown us yesterday. For context, in the last 20 years, Thai politics has been divided between the military and conservative establishment on one side and the Shinawatra family on the other side. Thaksin Shinawatra was the prime minister. He lives in exile, and he has been in exile for about 17 years. But his parties have always been winning the popular vote and the most amount of seats. And this is the first time in 20 years we have this new party that's emerged, the Move Forward Party. And this has taken 151 seats so far, which is the biggest results. This is very notable because the Move Forward Party, to give you a bit of history on it, it actually started as the Future Forward Party, and it campaigned in the 2019 elections. In the 2019 elections, it came in second or third place, after which authorities decided to ban the party, and they disqualified its former leader from politics for 20 years. Because this was something new to the military establishment. This was something new to the powers that be. And after they banned the Future Forward Party, that's what kicked off, the youth-led street protests in Bangkok for 2 years, where, thousands of people were protesting, and some of them got violent, and, the unrest that we saw in Thailand over the last few years. And since then, the government has basically been arresting the protest leaders. It's been charging them under the laws of defaming the monarchy, and it's been suppressing the movement. And the protests now, they don't happen frequently, and they're much smaller than what they used to be. So this election was a real chance for, the young voters and the electorate of Thailand to come out and show who they really support, without having to be arrested for protests, or so it's a really show of strength for the Move Forward Party. And this will change Thailand's political dynamics over the next few years. Now, as for the Move Forward Party leader, Pita, he wants to be the prime minister. So far, he has about 308 votes in total. He needs 376 to successfully be nominated as the prime minister. Right now, it's not clear that will happen. One concern is that what the government and the conservative establishment is going to do is that they're going to find some reason to disqualify him or ban the party as they've done before. Now, this will set off a lot of public anger, and they cannot necessarily, and the authorities will be concerned that, okay, if we do ban the party, which has clearly won the most number of votes, which has this much of a majority, which has the people's mandate, how do you, it's very hard to silence them. And that's what is, over the next couple of months, we'll see how the government will try to suppress this and try to prevent the Move Forward Party from coming to power.
Uday, again, as you mentioned before, right now, the leader from this Move Forward Party, which is PETA, again, based on the research, if I'm not mistaken, he was actually educated overseas. So in other words, over the years that PETA tasted the goodness of democracy, and also he experienced and witnessed the transformation of the country. Now, again, let's dive into this person's background a little bit more. He represents the youth power for the country. Clearly, the younger generations spoke up and believe that PETA shall be the next person who desires to lead the country towards prosperity, political stability. Of course, we're going to get to economic in a second. So, Uday, from your perspective, again, having this someone that who was educated overseas and witnessed the democracy and witnessed the transformation of the world, how important it is for us to continue to pay attention to this person, and also how do you think his educational background actually elevated his status to be the next prime minister? What do you say to that, Uday?
Okay, so regarding his educational status, I think that definitely helped it maybe possibly influence ideas and, the kind of the way the Move Forward Party has been acting, because in the campaigns for elections, nearly every party was taking very populist policies. But the Move Forward Party, it was actually focusing on, more economic issues and trying not to succumb to populism and that kind of thing. And I think what's more important about PETA is not his educational background, but what he and what the Move Forward Party represents, which you've alluded to, is they are a democratic kind of, and they are seen as a symbol of democracy, of hope for the youth. They are seen as progress. They're not seen as the corrupt, political, entrenched, or the elites in Thailand. The people want stability. They don't want more military coups. The last coup was in 2014, right? This is only the second election since the last coup. And since 1932, when Thailand became a constitutional monarchy, since then there have been made more than 20 coups in the country. There have been nearly 30 prime ministers in about 70 or 80 years, which is quite a high number. So he represents something. He represents change for Thailand. The Move Forward Party represents a more kind of idealistic progress that's based on democratic values and principles that wasn't there with the conservative parties or the military, obviously. Yeah.
Uday, again, help us with better understanding regarding the role of the military. Because we know that today, when we talk about the government is being ruled under the military power, for example, again, we have seen the country such as Pakistan, again, the country of Egypt. Clearly speaking, those countries are under the authority of military. And that's why the younger generations, particularly, they're very vocal regarding their disgruntled attitude and also the anger opposition towards the military government. Now, again, take us back when we talk about Thailand. What is the role of the military today in Thailand? And now, again, as we assume that PETA is going to become the prime minister if he collects enough votes, how does his position are going to align with the military, or if he's going to be willing to work with the military power? So help us with better understanding of that.
Right. So the role of the military in Thai society, it has always played an entrenched role because Thailand has been a kingdom for over 1,000 years, and the military has been a part of preserving that. And over the years, over the last 100 years, they've justified many coups and they've justified intervention into Thai politics to preserve, the state, because they believe that, they are the ones who have to take care of it to protect the royal institution. Um, they are the caretakers of Thailand. At least that's what they think, and that's what they try to project. It. So that's their role, and it's more than that. Like in the 2017 constitution that the elections are being held under, and what Thailand is under right now. What happened was in the constitution, it was drafted that the military will be able to appoint 250 senators who serve as the upper house of parliament. And these 250 military appointed senators effectively back the conservative bloc. And in the 2019 elections, they were the ones who voted for, the incumbent Prime Minister Prayut, who was a former general. Another thing, there's a lot of the military people have been prime ministers or, involved in politics. And one of the issues is since the last coup, 2014, from 2014 to 2019, we had Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha in control of the military junta. And then what happened is in the 2019 elections, they basically used the parties and the elections as a way to cement the military in a more democratic way in Thai society and to give them more legitimacy by saying, yes, we are democratic and look, our parties have won or we have allowed this. But it's, that's a bit of a facade. And these results have shown because the military aligned parties, the Palang Pracharat Party or the United Thai Nation Party, the Palang Pracharat Party especially, it's lost a lot of votes. It is not, in 2019, it was in the top 3. Now it's the 5th party and it's only has about 40 votes maybe. So we're seeing that the public has a lot of disaffection with the military because the military, through directly or indirectly controlling Thailand over these decades, most of the economic issues or things have not been solved at this point. So, this way, this election really signifies like people are voting for a change in the incumbent because they don't believe that, the conservatives or the military are legitimate or their power is justified because they haven't been able to produce the results. Now, with regards to how the military and the Move Forward Party will interact, this is where it's going to be problematic, and this is where there are concerns about another potential coup or some sort of military intervention in Thailand in the next few months because the Move Forward Party, they want to take away some of the powers that the military has. They want to take away the military-appointed senators in the constitution. These are all demands that the pro-democracy activists that the youth have had. So they essentially want to dilute the power of the of the military. Sorry, and the military is not going to let that happen very easily. So it's going to be a tense time ahead if Pita becomes prime minister and then his party starts pushing policies to reduce mandatory. Take out mandatory inscription and like other things to limit the military. So this is definitely a source of tensions over the next few months, and this will be key to watch in like Thailand's political stability.
Uday, again, I want to focus on one more question before we move on to the issue on economy.
Yeah.
Again, based on how you describe the relationship between military and also the next prime minister for the country. Now, again, are we going to see a major political clash between, let's say, if Peter were to be the next prime minister and also the existing of the military? Because the reason why I keep on asking this question is that the citizens today in Southeast Asia, particularly in Thailand, and nobody would like to be caught in the middle of the two superpowers, or no one would like to be caught in the middle of what we call a political instability. So how do you think this tension between the next prime minister and also the military power could have impact on the citizens in Thailand today? And also that really tied into our next topic related to economy. And we know that the economy in Thailand really matters. So if this country continue to suffer in this political instability, How do you think that people in Thailand are going to react to this tension, and particularly the younger generations? Again, give us your insights, Uday.
Great. Well, that's a really good question. I think so. Over the past 20 years, if we look at the military and the parties I mentioned, the Shinawatras, is it's been a back and forth between them with people going on either side, and it being very divided and stuff. And as the impact on the economy, it slowed down the economy. People are more interested in politicking and fighting each other. In the 2010s, there were violent protests in Bangkok. The military was deployed. People were shot and killed. Those kind of things. So with these elections, what the vote for the Move Forward party does show that people are sick of this fighting between these two sides that have been fighting for a long time, and for them, Move Forward is a way out into newer pastures where they can focus on the economic issues at hand or on the social issues at hand. Because again, as I had said, the military has a very controlling presence in the country, and it does not want to let go of power. And with the Move Forward party, it does have the people's mandate, but whether the military will allow it to, let them take its power away, that's going to be an issue. And if, for example, the military starts deploying troops to Bangkok, or there's suggestions of a coup, that will set off protests, that will set off violence. So the military's actions will be a point of contention in the coming weeks, because how it reacts to this will be key to watch.
Of course, Uday, today the last thing we would like to see is any political tension, or turn the political tension into a what we called a societal chaos. But again, let's get to the next part of the conversation regarding the economy. Again, based on the report,
Yeah.
experts believe that regarding which party takes the lead in this election, the economy will be a a key agenda for Southeast Asia's tourism and manufacturing hub. Now, again, Uday, I want to share a number with you and also get your reaction. Based on the report, the Thai economy grew 2.7% in the first quarter of 2023 from a year earlier, supported by the strong recovery in tourism and rising consumption. But the gloomy global economic outlook still weighed on the nation. Now, again, Uday, help us with better understanding. How do you think that the next prime minister, again, regardless who the person might be, is going to work harder or even to make greater contribution to this economic growth or to this economic boost? Because we know that for countries, particularly like Thailand, in Southeast Asia, economy is playing one indispensable role in order to generate much more confidence and stability within the country. So how should we understand the number, and how do you think this person is going to shoulder much greater responsibility regarding the economy? What do you say to that?
Right. So regarding the numbers, this year Thailand has been recovering. I think tourism is a big part of the economy, and as in most places, the COVID pandemic really took away from a lot of people's livelihoods and incomes. And another thing that has boosted tourism is after China reopened its border controls, and because a lot of Chinese tourists come to Thailand, and they're a big part of the demographic there. So that has been helping the economy. And as we go back to the pre-COVID kind of travel, this will all come back. There's a lot of Indian tourists going to Thailand now. So in terms of tourism, it is getting back there. But the bigger issues with regards to Thailand's economy, which voters have had, is the issues of income inequality, of corruption, of farmers living on subsistence while the wealthy in Bangkok party as they do. So there's a lot of those kind of dynamics going on within the Thai economy itself. And in that sense, when the Move Forward Party it campaigned on economic issues, on how to raise wages, on how to address, issues for farmers, on how to address different sectors, on how to look at jobs long term for youth, on different sectors that they want to transform, and build up the economy. While the other parties, they were basically saying, vote for us and we'll ensure that all farmers get X number of dollars or Thai baht.
Mm.
Or if you vote for us, like everyone's income will be increased without any, clear policy in mind. It was just a very populist kind of thing.
Mm.
So that is the way the Move Forward Party stands out from the rest, because Thailand is a very corrupt country, as are most Southeast Asian and South Asian countries. There's a high incidence of corruption there, and if you look at the traditional parties in any Southeast Asian country, they normally have a lot of power, influence, and money, and they get comfortable in that, and their focus isn't necessarily the people who have voted for them on the grounds anymore after the elections. So now this will be a challenge. This will be the challenge for the Move Forward Party going ahead, whether it can live up to its election promises, because if it can, then in 2027 or 2028, when the next elections are there, it will be in a very good place to, so we have to really see whether they'll be able to implement the policies that they've been talking about, the reforms that they've been talking about, to see whether that will happen. And another issue is that Move Forward will be in a coalition. They won't be ruling by themselves. So now this is where things get more complicated, because some of the larger parties in its coalition will want key positions in ministries for itself. And these kind of political favors always bring a bit of corruption and graft and those kind of dynamics, as is seen everywhere in Southeast Asia and South Asia also. So there will be they will also have to deal with this dynamic too, because to keep the majority in parliament, they need the support from the coalition partners. But the coalition partners have their own interests in mind also. And Thailand, there's a lot of money to be made if you're in control of an important ministry. That's how coalitions are formed. Different parties will come together and they'll say, okay, we'll go nominate or support this candidate if you give me the transportation ministry, or if you give me this, So then, because they control the projects, they control the state budget, and
Right.
it's a lot of resources and all. So that's a concern that is also there. But largely, if the Move Forward Party can stick to what it has said, then it really is something different than what we have seen in the last 20 years. So that's why this is quite a transformation, as you said, in Thai politics. And this is a very important moment at this point.
Uday, I want to wrap up our conversation by asking you a very simple question. How do you think this recent election in Thailand could impact other countries in Southeast Asia? Because again, not just in Thailand, again, the countries we're looking at, Vietnam, Philippines, Cambodia, again, Malaysia, etc., all those countries are still paying attention to this economic relationship with Thailand, and also they're looking for ways to strengthen this political ties with the country as well.
Yeah.
So again, Uday, going back to the simple question, how do you think this election in Thailand could impact the overall relationship with other countries in Southeast Asia, and why does it still matter today?
So with regards to other countries in Asia, the Move Forward Party, it's quite different, as we've been discussing. It's quite different from the established parties and the conservative parties. One thing I would like to bring of note here is with regards to Myanmar, because Thailand and Myanmar are big neighbors, and we've talked about the situation in Myanmar.
That's right.
Right. So the Move Forward Party has said that it would not support the military government in Myanmar, which the current Thai government tacitly does. So that would be a major change in the status quo of ASEAN, or the relationships within ASEAN, because this is one of Myanmar's biggest neighbors, and the military in both countries have had a long relationship and shared a relationship. Now we're seeing a situation where, you know, the military might not be in power in Thailand, and we're getting a more progressive group that's more focused on human rights and, you know, these kind of democratic liberal ideas. So this could definitely, you know, shift the situation on Myanmar and, you know, increase pressure on Myanmar, and that will maybe galvanize ASEAN more to do more on the issue, because Indonesia and Malaysia have been trying to do more on Myanmar, but, you know, Thailand hasn't really done much. India's not ASEAN, but, you know, the other countries, there hasn't been much. So within ASEAN, I think this election would be key to see how the countries form around Myanmar and what Thailand's own foreign policy will be also. Because another thing with regards to foreign policy is the Move Forward Party, and PETA has specifically said that he's looking for a more rules-based order. Thailand foreign policy up till now has been has basically been very, like, it flip-flops a lot and is very opportunistic. You know, it's not a clear-cut foreign policy. 1 minute it'll be this, the next minute it'll be something else. You know, it's whatever goes on. But if PETA comes and says, if PETA comes and, you know, we have to Move Forward Party with a more cohesive foreign policy, we might actually see a stronger Thailand within ASEAN, because even though it is a major country within ASEAN, it doesn't intervene. It doesn't say anything about any of the other countries much. You know, so we could get a more active Thailand within ASEAN, which would be good, because ASEAN has lost a lot of its teeth.
Well, again, Uday, as we're speaking right now, we still don't know what the result looks like. But again, based on the report, but it does look like PETA from this Move Forward Party is projected to be the next leader, and hopefully he's going to become the next prime minister of the country. But meanwhile, we need to keep this country in prayer and hoping that no more chaos and no more violence. Of course, it's not just about this political stability, and also it's about this joint effort that can create much greater noises and much greater positive results. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor to speak to our good friend Uday. Again, Uday is one international writer. Of course, he's a famous writer on militantwire.com. I strongly encourage everyone to follow Uday through social media, and we really appreciate his insights and give us on this election in Thailand. And we love to have you back on the show, brother, and always keep us informed regarding the countries in Southeast Asia. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks a lot again, Will, for having me. This was really interesting, and it's always great to be here and being on The Missing Piece. So thanks, Will.